Okay, thank you so much for your time coming out today, and very good morning to everyone. Yep. And firstly, let me just introduce myself. So I'm Vicknesh. I'm the Managing Director of Dolphin Capital Asia. And I would like to thank Sias for actually kind of inviting us over here to actually present to you and share to you a little bit more about Germany and what exactly we do in Germany itself. So today, some of the key points which I'll be sharing is a little bit more about the German property market, a little bit more about a very niche industry which we deal with, which is listed building refurbishment itself, and pretty much a little bit about like our background and what exactly we have done and our track record itself so far. Okay, so moving forward, why Germany? Just to give you a little bit of background, of course, I was from an investment banking background, and this was something which we were looking at for quite some time, and we kind of sourced this project out. And in Singapore, what we realized is that for investors investing into foreign property itself, UK and Australia was a very, very popular choice. But Germany would, as everyone knows, is the largest economy in Europe itself. And we felt that this was a market which was very, very different. And the thing is that it was a very stable property market as well. Because the Germans, unlike the British and the Australians, they are very, very passive investors. So the property market in Germany is very, very sideways trending and very stable as well. So we are looking at how exactly we could actually tap into this market and create a possible investment scheme for Singaporean investors itself. Okay? So that's how basically we came across Germany, and we came across Dolphin Capital and brought Dolphin Capital over to Singapore. And over this year itself, in a very, very short span, we have actually just won the Best Foreign Enterprise this year during the SME 1 Awards. And I was last year's one of the nominated Best Most Promising Entrepreneur of the Year. So it has been a very, very good deal for us. And right now in Singapore itself, we have more than 2,000 investors, and we have actually raised quite a bit of funds for all our projects in Germany itself. So that's been great for us. Moving forward about Germany, other than the fact that we are in Europe and there's a European crisis, that's something which everyone is always worried about. But Germany, like I said, it's a very, very sideways trending market, and it's very, very stable. If you look here, if you look at the economic sentiment indicator itself, Germany is right at the top of Europe itself. So basically, it kind of includes the confidence in the market. And like we would consider Singapore to be a safe haven in Southeast Asia itself. Like for example, if there was a crisis here, Germany would be considered a safe haven in Europe itself. So there's a lot of funds around Europe which is being pumped into Germany right now to make the economy very, very stable. So if we look a little bit more about a snapshot of the European property market itself. So if you look here, Germany is right there in the dark blue, which is somewhere there. Whereas if you look at a country, for example, like UK, the property market is very volatile, and you can see that it's moving up and down, whereas the German property market is very, very sideways trending. And the reason why I'm actually saying more of like it being a very stable market is because of the investment we do itself. We are property developers in Germany. Dolphin Capital basically buys listed buildings in Germany itself, refurbishes it, and sells it back to the German market. So it's very important for us not to have a very volatile market and to actually make a profit out of our refurbishment and our kind of predictions itself in the sale of the property. So as I mentioned, if you look at news reports and stuff like that, German property market has been doing pretty well. And you can see that it is one of the hot spots for Europeans to be actually investing in. And I feel that as Asians itself, right now we have actually set up Dolphin Capital Japan, and we have also set up Dolphin Capital Malaysia right now. And it's picking up quite good for us because I think that we are one of the first guys from Germany to be actually doing property developments here. It's like raising funds for our property developments in Germany itself. So it's a market which has been overlooked a little bit, maybe because of the language barriers or something, but it's a pretty good time for us to actually be involved in it right now. Okay, so coming down to the very, very important part, what exactly is listed buildings? Other than listed buildings, Dolphin Capital also does new build, condominiums, stuff like that in Germany itself. But we would be a market leader in Germany for listed building refurbishment. So this is a very niche market, and it's very different. So listed buildings are basically what we would call in Singapore as heritage buildings. So it's like conservation buildings and stuff like that. So every building is actually listed by the German government to actually conserve it For Singapore, you can see some examples closer to home. You've got the Supreme Court, stuff like the Old Hill Street police station and stuff like that. So these are all listed buildings in Singapore. In Germany, for example, in a city like Augsburg, this will be an example of a listed building. So these buildings are given a monument status and they are actually protected by the government in Germany itself. So restoration of the listed buildings in Germany. Only 1% of all buildings in Germany are actually listed, which is like a very, very, like I said, it's a very niche market. And for a developer to be actually refurbishing listed buildings, it actually takes a lot of specialization and skill because you've got to maintain the facade of the building itself. And as mentioned, listed buildings are the face of the city, and they have very, very interesting architecture and stuff like that. So this is what Dolphin Capital actually does in Germany itself. And every building actually has a certificate of proof that it's a listed building, and it actually states that the building is given a monument status itself. Okay, so in Germany, of course, unlike Singapore, where the government itself may do a particular project, in Germany, in a small little city like Leipzig itself, where the population is only 500,000, there's 15,000 listed buildings. And many of these buildings are in a condition like this, where it's very run down and stuff. So the government, to actually encourage people to come in and refurbish these listed buildings, they actually come up with a very interesting tax incentive scheme for people to refurbish it. So this sets it apart from very typical property investments where a developer buys and sells it off to just maybe the general market or something like that. It's because of this tax incentive scheme itself where the Germans are very excited about purchasing the listed building apartments. So, for example, this one would be one of the projects which we have actually done in Leipzig itself. When we purchased it, it's in this kind of a condition. Usually, a lot of these buildings are in a bad condition. And like I said, the government initiative, the reservation of these buildings are very important to the government itself, so they give tax advantages. So this is in the tax law itself. So in Germany, a German gets taxed up to about 45% tax. So unlike us Singaporeans, where we look at investments to make money and stuff, for the Germans, they're very conservative. They always just want to reduce their taxes. That's their priority. So if you look here in their German tax law itself, by Germans investing into listed buildings or buying a listed building apartment, that's one of the only ways in which they can reduce their taxes. So from the first 1 to 8 years, they actually get a tax deduction of 9% overall tax bill. And from 9 to 12 years, that's 7%. So eventually, they make back the full 100% which they have actually put into the refurbishment of this building itself. Here's a little bit of an example. Imagine if a German taxpayer pays about an annual tax of 50,000 euros, and if he purchases a listed building for 200,000 euros, for example, the cost of refurbishment, imagine that was about 100,000, which was out of this 200,000. Okay? The tax savings he gets, 9% per annum, of that 100,000, which is 9,000 per annum. So he ends up paying, for the first 1 to 8 years, every year he saves 9%. Is that attractive? That's really, really attractive for a German if you're paying a very, very high tax in Germany itself. So this is one of the only ways in which we can actually reduce taxes in Germany to such an extent. Because if you look at maybe German government bonds and stuff like that, there's a tax reduction of maybe 2% and stuff. Whereas listed building refurbishments and then purchasing these apartments, that's pretty much how much they will save. Okay, so conclusion for German buyers, it's a very safe investment. They, above the tax incentives they get, they also get a good rental yield, and they obviously have like a asset itself which they keep, okay? And this is pretty much how exactly it works in Germany itself when Dolphin Capital purchases a project. So obviously once we purchase the project itself, we would then create the marketing brochures like what we do in Singapore itself. If you're a developer, you kind of do off-plan sales, create brochures and marketing material. And this is an example of certain brochures and some of the projects we have done in Germany itself. And this is a very, very key point. The sale of these listed building apartments are not done by real estate companies in Germany. They are done by the banks, the financial advisory companies. Dolphin Capital works with Deutsche Post Bank, for example, which has 24,000 agents in Germany. They are a part of the Deutsche Bank itself. And basically, they get people like these financial advisors to be actually selling these listed building apartments in Germany itself. Okay, so pretty much what they go to the Germans and ask is not whether you want to purchase a listed building apartment. they ask them if you actually want to save taxes, and they teach them how they can reduce taxes and speak to them about the whole concept about listed building apartments itself. Okay? And once it's 100% sold, that's when refurbishment begins. Okay? These are some examples. As you can see, there's a lot of vandalizing and stuff like that on the listed buildings. And this is a completed state of a project which we have done. Interior, how it's actually refurbished in Germany itself. Another example, also in Leipzig. As you can see, that's how it is, before and after. And stuff like this is actually at the back of the building itself. So you add on balconies and stuff like that so as to increase your rental yield and the potential for apartment when a German buys it itself. So that's pretty much at the back of it, you can amend it, but the front and the facade of the building has to maintain and look the same. Okay? And about Dolphin Capital itself, like I said, it's been around since 1989. Turn of the company is 1.6 billion. And we've just taken over or merged actually with 4 Gates AG, which is a listed company in Germany on the Frankfurt and Hamburg Stock Exchange. So Dolphin Capital in Germany as well, they have been pretty much aggressively growing and taking on more ambitious projects. We just took on a very good, very nice project in Berlin itself, which was worth about 106 million euros. And that one is a listed building apartment, like a building kind of thing, and smack in the city center of Berlin itself. So they've kind of established themselves as the market leader of listed building refurbishments. Okay? This will be just to give you a little bit more information. Dolphin Capital, this was a credit rating which was done on them. They were rated among, can't really see it here, I think, from the back, but rated as the top 4.4% of all the business companies in Germany, which is 4.7 million companies. So Dolphin Capital has been rated as one of the top 4.4%, which is really good, and given the credit rating of 1. And in the organizational chart in Germany itself, other than listed buildings and stuff, we also have a sourcing team, planning. It's a full property management team itself in Germany. There's a few funds which are run out of Luxembourg and Germany as well, called Findor and Zion. And we will be setting up a fund in Singapore as well very, very soon, and in Japan, so as to be running the fund out of these countries. Okay? And like I said, we just won the Best Foreign Enterprise during the SME One Awards, which was quite a privilege because it was in a very, very short period of time, and we hope to be growing much, much more aggressively in future, obviously, in Singapore. In Germany, obviously, quite a bit of news articles about Dolphin Capital itself. This was a project which was actually done by Chinese investors in Germany, where they actually wanted to build a student accommodation for their Chinese university students. And that is the CEO, Charles, of Dolphin Capital itself. This was an article which was in Malaysia, and this was an article which came out in Business Times a couple of weeks back, actually. This investment itself is nothing new. It's just that we kind of found this and brought it over to Asia, and we are starting to market it all around Asia. But it's something which has been running in the UK and Irish side for a very, very long period of time. So it's something which is pension approved, so like how we can use our CPF to be investing into certain funds. In UK and Ireland, we are SIP approved, where actually the British and Irish investors can actually use their pension funds to be investing with us. So one of the pension trustees we work with is Wealth Options. It's just a show of that. Okay? This is a sample of a project which we have done, just to give you an idea about the before and after. One of the projects which we did out of Singapore itself, it's already closed. I think we already have completed this project. So purchase price of it was actually 21 mil, but the future valuation would have been 110 mil euros. And if you look, this is actually the project which I sit in Berlin. It's right by the waterfront. This, the current state of the project itself is really, really run down. If you look at the interior, looks like that. Very, very bad condition, obviously. But it's a listed area itself, so Dolphin Capital has been actually picked by the developer to actually do this. So this is the whole development, but only this squarish part here is actually listed. So Dolphin Capital is now just doing this small little area. So this is one of the many projects which are going on in Germany right now, which we are doing. Okay, so this is a view from opposite and the interior. So these are some of the marketing materials which will be created and used to be selling to the German market. This will be just artist image of how it actually looks like. And in Singapore itself, obviously, Like I said, we run an investment scheme here, which is quite exciting. I guess we have got a booth outside, so you can always speak to our consultants about it and how you can actually get involved as well. And we've got a good track record. Obviously, we have already exited 20 projects in less than about 1.5 years to the investors, so it was quite interesting. Obviously, now we've kind of gained more popularity here, and we hope that we will continue providing a good investment to the Singaporean investors itself. Yeah? So, moving on, for investors in Singapore itself, the opportunity we present is not to purchase the end apartments. That's not where we come in, because it doesn't make sense for Singaporeans to buy the end apartments in Germany, because the capital appreciation is not very high. Like I said, it's a very sideways trending market. It's pretty much rental yield is about 2-3%, not very exciting itself. But to be involved in the front part itself and co-develop the project with Dolphin Capital itself, that is what we actually propose. And to find out more about how exactly you can get involved, please do approach our team outside. You do have a survey form which is with you. Do fill that up and pass it on to our colleagues later on. And the thing is that we will send you more research reports and stuff like that, so as and when. So please do help us to fill up the survey form, all right? So other than that, I'd like to complete my whole part here, and thank you all for your time. All right, thank you so much.